The war in Ukraine continues. The echoes of conflict reverberate through the streets, leaving behind a trail of destruction and despair. The once vibrant cities now stand as silent witnesses to the horrors of war, their buildings reduced to rubble and their people living in constant fear. The resilience of the Ukrainian soldiers patrolling these streets is a testament to their unwavering spirit and determination to protect their homeland. Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. The invasion marked a significant escalation in the conflict, with Russian tanks rolling across the border and soldiers bearing the Russian flag advancing into Ukrainian territory. The footage of the invasion shocked the world as the reality of war unfolded before our eyes. The aggression was met with international condemnation, but the situation on the ground continued to deteriorate. The conflict has caused immense suffering. Civilians caught in the crossfire have borne the brunt of the violence, their lives shattered by the relentless bombings and attacks. Families have been torn apart, homes destroyed, and communities left in ruins. The images of crying people and bombed buildings are a stark reminder of the human cost of this war. The desperation and anguish of those fleeing the conflict zones are palpable as they seek safety and refuge from the chaos. Millions have fled their homes. The mass exodus of people from their homes has created a humanitarian crisis of unprecedented proportions. Long lines of refugees can be seen walking towards uncertain futures, their belongings hastily packed in bags. Crowded trains and buses carry them away from the conflict, but the journey is fraught with danger and uncertainty. Refugee camps have sprung up across the region, providing temporary shelter but little comfort to those who have lost everything. Thousands have lost their lives. The toll of the conflict is measured not just in numbers, but in the grief and sorrow of those left behind. Families mourn the loss of loved ones at funerals, their pain etched on their faces. Homes that once stood as symbols of safety and comfort are now reduced to rubble, and memorials stand as somber reminders of the lives cut short. The graves of soldiers who gave their lives in defense of their country are a poignant testament to their sacrifice. The world watches with bated breath. The conflict in Ukraine has captured the attention of the global community, with news anchors reporting on the latest developments around the clock. People in different countries watch the news with a mix of concern and helplessness as the headlines about Ukraine dominate the media. The international community is keenly aware of the potential ramifications of the conflict, and the world waits anxiously for any signs of resolution. The conflict has global implications. The war in Ukraine has far-reaching consequences that extend beyond its borders. Global leaders have convened to discuss the crisis, seeking ways to de-escalate the situation and find a path to peace. The stock markets have reacted to the uncertainty, with fluctuations reflecting the instability caused by the conflict. International summits have been held to address the crisis, but finding a solution has proven to be a complex and challenging task. It has strained relations between Russia and the West. The invasion has led to a significant deterioration in relations between Russia and Western countries. NATO meetings have been convened to discuss the appropriate response, and there have been widespread protests against Russian actions. Diplomatic meetings between Russia and Western leaders have been tense, with both sides struggling to find common ground. The geopolitical landscape has been reshaped by the conflict, and the repercussions will be felt for years to come. It has triggered a humanitarian crisis. The scale of the suffering has prompted a massive humanitarian response, with aid workers distributing supplies to those in need. Refugee camps have become hubs of activity as organizations work tirelessly to provide food, medical care, and other essential services. Children in particular have been deeply affected by the conflict, and efforts are being made to ensure they receive the care and support they need to heal from the trauma. And it has raised fears of a wider conflict. The situation in Ukraine has heightened concerns about the potential for a broader war. Military drills in Europe have been conducted as a show of strength and preparedness, while international protests against the war have highlighted the widespread opposition to the conflict. Political cartoons have captured the global anxiety, depicting the precarious balance between peace and war. The fear of escalation looms large, and the world remains on edge. Amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope emerged. Despite the overwhelming challenges, there have been efforts to find a peaceful resolution to the conflict. Peace rallies in Ukraine have brought people together, united in their desire for an end to the violence. Diplomatic discussions have taken place with leaders exploring potential pathways to peace. The resilience and hope of the Ukrainian people shine through as they hold on to the belief that a better future is possible. Former US President Donald Trump offered to broker a peace deal. In a surprising move, former President Trump stepped forward with a proposal to mediate the conflict. His involvement has added a new dimension to the efforts to achieve peace, and his peace proposal has been met with both skepticism and cautious optimism. The details of the proposal have been the subject of intense scrutiny as the world watches to see if it can bring about a breakthrough. His proposal has ignited debate and speculation. Political analysts have weighed in on the potential impact of Trump's peace plan, with opinions divided on its feasibility and effectiveness. News anchors have debated the merits of the proposal, and public reactions have been mixed. Some see it as a genuine opportunity for peace, while others view it with suspicion. The proposal has certainly sparked a lively discussion, and its ultimate success remains to be seen. The world waits to see if peace is possible. As the discussions continue, the world watches with a mixture of hope and apprehension. Crowds gather to watch the news, eager for any updates on the peace talks. The reactions from the international community have been varied, but there is a shared desire for an end to the conflict. The possibility of peace, however fragile, offers a glimmer of hope in a time of great uncertainty. The future remains uncertain, but the hope for peace endures. Former President Trump made a bold statement. In a move that surprised many, he addressed the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, a war that has caused immense suffering and displacement for countless people. He promised to end the Ukraine war, a conflict that has been raging for years, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. The war has not only affected Ukraine, but has also had significant geopolitical implications, drawing in various international players. He claimed he could achieve peace within 24 hours, a time frame that many experts find ambitious, if not unrealistic. This bold claim has sparked a flurry of discussions and debates among political analysts and the general public alike. His statement came during a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The meeting was highly anticipated, as both leaders have had a complex relationship in the past. Zelensky listened intently as Trump laid out his vision for peace. Trump expressed confidence in his abilities, citing his experience in negotiating deals and his unique approach to diplomacy. He believes that his unconventional methods could bring about a swift resolution to the conflict. He cited his past dealings with Russian President Vladimir Putin as evidence of his capability to broker peace. Trump has often touted his relationship with Putin as a cornerstone of his foreign policy strategy. He believes he can negotiate a deal that would satisfy all parties involved. His confidence stems from his past successes in business and his tenure as president, where he often took a hands-on approach to international relations. Trump's proposal has been met with mixed reactions. While some people are hopeful that his plan could bring an end to the suffering, others are skeptical of his ability to deliver on such a grand promise. Some see it as a genuine effort to end the bloodshed. Peace activists and some international observers have expressed cautious optimism, hoping that any effort towards peace is a step in the right direction. Others view it with skepticism. Critics argue that Trump's track record on international diplomacy is mixed at best, and question whether he has the nuanced understanding required to navigate such a complex issue. The world watches closely, waiting to see if this promise of peace will materialize or if it will remain just another bold statement. President Zelensky traveled to Washington, D.C. He met with President Joe Biden. He addressed the U.S. Congress. His message was clear: Ukraine needs continued support. Zelensky painted a stark picture of the situation in Ukraine. He spoke of Russian aggression. He described the suffering of his people. He thanked the US for its assistance, but he stressed that more is needed. The war in Ukraine has exposed a divide. It has highlighted different approaches to foreign policy. On one side stands President Biden. He advocates for continued support for Ukraine. He believes in confronting Russian aggression. On the other side stands former President Trump. He favors a more hands-off approach. He criticizes US aid to Ukraine. He believes in negotiating with Putin. Two leaders, two visions, one war. Section 5. The Price of Freedom. In this chapter we delve into the complex and multifaceted issue of the cost associated with supporting Ukraine in its time of need. The US has provided billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine. This aid encompasses a wide range of support, from military assistance to financial aid packages, all aimed at bolstering Ukraine's ability to withstand external pressures and maintain its sovereignty. This aid has been crucial. The supplies and financial support have played a significant role in ensuring that Ukraine's military forces are well equipped and prepared for the challenges they face on the battlefield. It has helped Ukraine defend itself. The military aid has enabled Ukrainian soldiers to stand their ground and protect their homeland from aggressors, showcasing their resilience and determination. It has provided humanitarian relief. Beyond the battlefield, the aid has also been instrumental in delivering essential supplies to civilians, including medical supplies and food, helping to alleviate the suffering of those caught in the conflict. But the cost of support is high. The financial burden of providing such extensive aid has sparked debates within the US, with discussions focusing on the allocation of tax dollars and the impact on the national budget. Some Americans question the level of support. They express concerns about the long-term implications of such significant financial commitments and whether the resources could be better utilized elsewhere. They argue that the money could be better spent at home. Critics suggest that the funds allocated to foreign aid could instead be invested in domestic projects, such as improving infrastructure, enhancing social programs, and supporting public schools and hospitals. Others believe that supporting Ukraine is essential. Proponents of the aid argue that standing by Ukraine is not only a moral obligation but also a strategic necessity in the broader context of global politics. They argue that it is in America's national interest to defend democracy. By supporting Ukraine, the US is upholding the principles of democracy and freedom, which are cornerstones of its own national identity and foreign policy objectives. This support is seen as a crucial step in maintaining global stability and countering authoritarianism. Section 6. A nation divided. The war in Ukraine has divided Americans. Some support Biden's approach. They believe the United States has a moral obligation to help Ukraine. They fear the consequences of a Russian victory. Others sympathize with Trump's stance. They believe the United States should focus on its own problems. They worry about the risk of escalation. The debate reflects a broader division in American society. Section 7. The global stage. The war in Ukraine has global implications. It has shaken the international order. It has tested alliances. It has raised the spectre of nuclear war. The conflict has highlighted the importance of international cooperation. It has also exposed the limits of diplomacy. The world watches nervously as the conflict unfolds. Section 8. The weight of history. The war in Ukraine is a tragedy. It is a reminder of the fragility of peace. It is a stark warning about the dangers of nationalism and aggression. The conflict echoes past wars. It evokes memories of the Cold War. It reminds us of the human cost of conflict. The world must learn from this tragedy. Section 9. The uncertain future. The future of Ukraine hangs in the balance. The outcome of the war is uncertain. Negotiations remain elusive. The fighting continues. Will Trump's promise of peace materialize? Will Zelensky's pleas for support be answered? Only time will tell. The world waits and hopes for a peaceful resolution.